Well, I have good news for you. I am the tail end of the dog. My understanding is I'm the last of the speakers, and it looks like y'all have had a marathon day to be able to sit and do this. So let me just make a couple of quick statements, both from my own. I know you couldn't be more excited to go last. Great, I'm excited. Let me just say a couple of things to you. One is I served 22 years in Christian ministry before I came to Congress. My wife calls this life's greatest interruption. I wasn't involved in any kind of politics at all. I was working with middle school, high school, and college-age students for 2 decades. My joy is still having the opportunity to be able to do that. But the issue of religious liberty and the passion for individuals within our country and around the world to be able to live their faith is extremely important to me, and I'm glad to say to you what is the obvious thing. You've had this long stream of speakers saying consistent things about the passion for religious liberty around the world. That really is present on this Hill. And there are people that are actively working on these issues. I met earlier this week with our ambassador for religious freedom, Ambassador David Saperstein. He and I meet frequently to be able to talk about what's happening in different parts of the world. One of the issues and one of the reasons why I do that and why we spend time together, and I've worked on bills like with the Trans-Pacific Partnership and all of our trade agreements. When we did something called the Trade Promotion Authority, I included in it a section that has never been done before to say anytime we negotiate a trade agreement from here on out with any country, we have to also negotiate religious liberty issues at the same time, so that we never negotiate a trade agreement and start trade with a nation and ignore the human rights and the religious liberty issues at the same time. We've got to stop doing that, and I'm glad to say we passed that, and that is a part of it. So part of my conversation with Ambassador Saperstein circled around, for instance, Vietnam. Vietnam's an area that's persecuted Christians and religious minorities for a very long time, and it's had a terrible human rights record. In the past couple of months, as trade negotiations have begun there, it has elevated that, and Ambassador Saperstein could tell me practical examples of the government of Vietnam shifting some of its policy positions to talk more openly about how they're going to deal with religious liberty. That's improvement. We walk through lists to be able to talk about where are we improving, where are we failing, what's happening, what are the threats. Things like what's happening in Russia right now. Russia passing an anti-terrorism law that the president can sign in, which is really an anti-conversion law, which would ban anyone from changing their faith or talking about faith issues in a public setting, any place that's not an official location that the government has sanctioned. That's a transition backwards in areas, but that's also happening in multiple areas around the world. So whether it's in the Middle East that has faced such incredible persecution, whether it's in Asia, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Africa, one of the key things to be able to address this, as striking as it may seem, is what you're doing. All of these things go under the radar until advocates raise the issue, until someone says, is anyone looking at this atrocity? Because in a very big globe with lots of issues that we face, there are moments when the nation says, I'm looking over here and there are atrocities happening there. You being here and people actually engaging and raising the issues, as long as these days are and as difficult as they are, does make a difference. Because people will stop and say, well, let's talk about this. What really is happening? What are the issues that are in front of us? So whether it's the Middle East, whether it's Russia, whether it's Asia, or quite frankly, some moments here in the United States when we deal with religious liberty issues, thanks for engaging. There are folks that are advocating on these issues, and as you know, they're incredibly difficult and painful to deal with through the process. So thanks for not giving up on the day today, and I hope you have a wonderful, relaxing dinner where you're probably going to stand all the way through dinner because you're so sick of sitting. But I hope that you understand exactly what God can do through you on days like this, to be able to learn more about what's going on and to be able to press members of Congress and the administration to say, don't lose track of this. So thanks for staying engaged. It's absolutely an honor to get a chance to visit with you as well, and I hope you have a terrific, good evening as well. Thanks for being in D.C. and being around.